We all know that Stephen Curry is a legend in the NBA, but there are still many things about him that you don't know. Betting with his mom, nearly murdering an NBA player, and doctors complaining about his bad influence are just a few of the 10 things you don't know about Stephen Curry. Let's start by talking about the time he destroyed the NBA. The only thing Steph had left to pursue after winning his first MVP and title,
he's an NBA Finals MVP, the 2022 Bill Russell NBA Finals MVP award goes to Stephen Curry.
Ruining NBA 2K. The game's creators have been working on a mechanism that pays players for wise shot choices and penalizes them for poor shot choices. Contested and extremely long-range shots were almost hard to make, but in real life, Steph was not only taking these shots, he was making them.
Oh, just did prevent the backcourt violation and shoots the three!
Because Steph was so broken, he was essentially a cheat code. 2K's developers were at a loss at what to do. How can we introduce this player who shot 47% from beyond the arc without losing the game? My career players were kind of destroying that online gaming experience back when Steph was such a cheat code, and youngsters wanted to copy it so much. The designers of 2K had to fully redesign the game to balance things among all the other players, only to ensure that Steph wasn't given an unfair advantage. Steph truly transformed the game when he became unstoppable in real life. But at least he only wrecked one game. What if I told you that Steph has a condition that may end his life? You might not believe me. Throughout his career, Steph made three-pointers 43% of the time and was on pace to surpass all other shooters in terms of accuracy. Steph suddenly went through his worst shooting slump ever. His percentage dipped to 36%, yet he was still selected for the All-Star game. Steph had one of his worst shooting performances of his career throughout the All-Star game in front of everyone. He was now only shooting 23% as opposed to his usual 43%. He trained repeatedly, but nothing seemed to be working. Steph was the only one who realized something was wrong. He had to go to the doctor, and it was then that Steph learned some awful news. He had an eye ailment that caused impaired vision, and Steph's eyesight was rapidly deteriorating. When the rest of the world found out, he was asked about it in interviews.
Steph, can you kind of describe the condition that was going on with your eye disease?
It's just a tough situation every day waking up.
Fortunately, physicians had a potential fix in the form of special contacts. When Steph put them on, Curry's three-point percentage increased to a career-high 51%.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. The step back got Morris. He didn't think he was getting...
And Steph openly credited his new contacts. But behind the scenes, his mother had been fining him. When Steph entered the NBA, he was already a terrific shooter, playmaker, and defender. But one aspect of his game was so awful that he required intervention from his mother. So they struck up a deal that forced him to solve his problem. This would cost him millions of dollars if he didn't. Steph was averaging more than 3 turnovers a game at the time, so they decided that if he had more than 3 in a game, he had to pay his mom $100 for each turnover. He started off handing her a couple $100, but it grew quickly into thousands. By the conclusion of the season, Steph had given the ball out so frequently that he had paid his mother almost $7,000. Despite putting on so much money on the line, Steph was never able to break his turnover habit and continued to average 3 turnovers each game. She definitely calls it out till this day. Even with all the money Steph handed his mother, she couldn't purchase one of his game-worn mouth guards, which were actually selling for $25,000. If they're worth so much, haven't you ever wondered why Steph deliberately ruins them every single game? It all started when Steph was a Davidson College player. He got a serious injury in one game. In his junior year of college, he was elbowed, almost bursting his mouth open.
I got elbowed in college my junior year and kind of busted my lip open. And so I wore a mouthpiece after that every single game.
He hasn't played a single game without a mouth guard since. But the techniques caused criticism. Steph admitted to wearing the same mouth guard for 6 games in a row, 12 different ones every season. Dentists all across the world were furious. Steph chewing up his mouth guard was a negative influence on youngsters, according to one dentist, since he was not only making it popular to purposely ruin his mouth guard, but he was continuously touching it, putting bacteria in his mouth. Steph's mouth guard chewing has been an iconic practice for years, but lately, before Steph got the chance to reveal the true reason why he chews on his mouth guards, ESPN released a statistic verifying their own theory. Steph's free throw shooting is heavily influenced by his biting his mouth guards. He shot 89% from the line in 2014 while wearing his mouth guard, but 92% in the next 2 seasons while chewing on his mouth guard, a 3% improvement. Because his shot improved, Steph decided to chew on his mouth guard every time he took to the court, and he hasn't missed a single season since. How's it even possible? Do you remember when Steph sent an NBA player to the hospital? When the Cavaliers came out with a game plan believing they discovered Steph's kryptonite, Matthew Dellavedova, things soon turned into mayhem in the 2015 NBA Finals. Steph had one of the worst games of his career, not only shooting 5 for 23, but also missing 18 three-point attempts. Steph choked that much in his biggest game. How could that have happened? The next day, ESPN criticized Steph because of Matthew Dellavedova. If Steph Curry had the ball and Dellavedova was in his face, there would be a problem because supporters would believe Steph was being clamped. Steph couldn't even access social media knowing that people were trashing his performance. Therefore, he wanted vengeance straight away. Steph lit up the third game. He was unstoppable, shot after shot. Despite the fact that Steph had 7 3-pointers and 27 points, Dellavedova was there the entire time playing his finest game. Dellavedova dropped his own 20-point game while diving for loose balls and aggressively guarding Steph. This man was playing his heart out until it was revealed that Steph was so impossible to guard that Dellavedova put his life on the line and everyone understood something was wrong. Because despite having played the finest game of his career, Dellavedova did not attend the post-game news conference. That's when everyone learned Dellavedova had been brought to the hospital with serious cramps and dehydration. That was merely the beginning of what Dellavedova had been diagnosed with. And not only physicians were concerned, Dellavedova's teammate claimed that Steph nearly murdered him. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe and make sure to watch this video because I know you'll like this too.